already said that. I'm going to say it again and hand it over to.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, all of you, for being able to come at such short notice. This session was planned for tomorrow, but due to various circumstances, we needed to switch it to today. So we are sort of unplanned, but we are all here together because we love the idea of celebrating Nabaneeta, who passed away less than a month ago. She passed away on the 7th, so tomorrow would be a month. There isn't really much that we want to say about her right now. We should, because we don't have much time. So perhaps I'll hand it over to Minnie. Maybe you could speak a bit about her and then read from some of her texts. Nabaneeta Devsen, apart from being a very well-known, internationally known academic, she wrote fiction, poetry, plays, she travel, children's writing. She was a very, very influential children's writer, all kinds of things. And so we'll probably just give you a sample to remember her by right now.
Do you have the Indian literature thing to read?
No, I don't actually.
I'm going to talk about it.
Talk about it a bit, but
Yeah.
then we'll
Yes.
read a bit from the...
Thank you, Antara. Thank you, Vivek in absence, for that graceful introduction. I'd like to start with a beautiful image which KPS Menon's daughter worked into an obituary she wrote for her father. She said, there's a lovely Bengali tale or story, not story, but just a thing that poem, I think, which she just described. She said, I want to celebrate my father's life and not mourn him. There's this thing of as a noble soul rises into the sky, the goddess Durga claps her hands. So I like to think that's how Nabs left. I had the privilege of being her editor and publisher several years. In fact, it was in Goa that I first met her and spent time with her in 2003 when we were both invited by the Academy here. I thought the best way to represent her is to read passages from her books, her author's note. I'm going to read from a little novella I published 5 or 6 years ago. It's about a group of aging women who are in an old age home. Now, she wrote it in her 40s, but it was published in translation when she was much older, in 2013-14. I'll read from her author's note. This is her voice. As I was going through the translation, it was translated by Tutun Mukherjee. As I was going through the translation of Sheet Sahasik Nemantalok earlier today, in order to write the author's note, I got goosebumps. Aparajita, my character of 25 years ago, seemed so much like me today. Like her, I have trouble with my eyesight and cannot read beyond the headlines without the help of a magnifying glass. Like her, I have continued to write, nevertheless, due to long practice. I look at the back of my hand and fail to recognize it as my own. Whose hand could this be? I wonder, with bluish veins sticking out? That was exactly what my central character, Aparajita, felt when she was 70 in 1988. When I wrote this book, I was still a young woman. I had enough distance to see the problems of aging with a kind of neutral empathy. And like her, I can feel the existence of a blind spot in my rear vision today. No matter how carefully I look back, I cannot see it all. Should I read the passage from the book itself?
Yeah.
And a very short passage from the novella itself. This is when all the borders are together and fighting and all sorts of petty things. The small things become, magnified into epic battles. For instance, what a scene some of the borders created.
Just...
Maybe you can read that.
No, you read it. And just to give you a quick introduction to what is being read, this is a book called Shit-Sahoshik Hemontolok, which is translated as Defying Winter. It's about an old age home for women. and all kinds of women live together there, and they have all kinds of problems because they come from different classes, different backgrounds, different educational levels, and all kinds of things make up their dialects are different. And so in Bengali, it's an extremely interesting book to read because you find all kinds of voices and all kinds of realities through these ladies who have all, I mean, one of them is an Oxford educated academic, one is a housewife who has had absolutely no education and nor is she interested in it. And so these are all very, very different people, but they're all in the same home, and they're all now, yes. So this is a part of that.
For instance, what a scene some of the borders created about Protimadi. Quite shameful. Protimadi was a renowned scholar, a former student of Oxford University, and her books on philosophy continue to be textbooks in the MA syllabus. That a person like her could be treated so miserably with so much disrespect, I could never have imagined. Now, there's that conversational style, But the happy thing is, I'm not alone here. Many like me are shocked and angry. To loosely generalize that the educated and once employed boarders are on one side, while the housewives are on the other, would be grossly incorrect. No such division exists. In fact, I noticed that kindness and generosity are more evident among the housewives. Most of the retired employees seem to share a terrible temper and intolerance. Now, most of these people are actually abandoned by their families. I think we'll move on now.
Okay, Nabaneeta was also a very well-known writer of humorous stories. When she started writing humor in the 1970s, women didn't really write humor in our country. And so she was a very different voice, especially in Bengali literature, and some of it is translated. And Mridula ji who knew so it's very kindly agreed to read a part of one such funny story. But it's just the beginning because we don't have time to do much more.
By the way, Antara translated that, right?
And Nabaneeta and I were about the same age, and I had known her intermittently for many years. We had even spent a room, we had even spent 3 days in a room together, which is a rare occurrence. Yeah. I remember Antara came
surviving each other.
Who put two mad women in one room? And, I got up early in the morning and I went and fetched tea for Nabaneeta. And she was so happy. She told everyone, Mridula fetched tea for me, Mridula fetched tea for me. I said, I might have done so many good deeds in the world, but nothing was appreciated the way Nabaneeta appreciated it. And she was so wonderful to be with. She used to don't sleep, listen to my story. Okay, then she'll read the Bangla one, then she'll read the English one. And once I told her, but Nabaneeta, this English one, something is wrong. She said, what's wrong? Nothing is wrong. I said, no, you've done something. I've changed the end, she says. It was so wonderful, I can't tell you. And what I really loved about Nabaneeta was her sense of humor. And she had an equal command over tragedy and comedy when she wrote. Equally, she wrote for adults and children. But even when she wrote for adults, she wrote very serious things, tragic things, and also very comic things. The piece I'm reading is a comedy. Okay. Can you hear me now? Monsieur Hulo's Holiday. Hulo in Bengali is a tomcat.
This is a play on the Monsieur Hulo's Holiday.
Hulo's Holiday.
Oh,
Okay.
it's different, but this in Bengali it's called Monsieur Hulo's Holiday.
I was just about to put my daughters to bed when it happened. The quiet night air was suddenly torn apart by an inhuman wailing. It wasn't very far from us. In fact, it was alarmingly close. The sound rose right behind me, or so it seemed. What on earth could it be? A careful, fearful listening gradually revealed the identity of the mysterious presence. A cat. A cat? What? A cat in our house? In this paradise of all rodents? Families of mice live here happily, nesting safely amid the endless books and journals entrusted to me by my dead father. Even field rats come in and play about with my friendly, non-violent dog, the kind that is better referred to as doggy. They play on the living room carpet. Gradually, the wailing increased. It became almost human. No, not a cat. I discarded the thought. It could only be a ghost. And ghosts do not matter. We know, thanks to Poe, that ghosts occasionally develop a weird practice of cat-like wailing from within solid walls. I tried to pay no attention and continued with the fairy tale. But the wail took on greater dimensions and became impossible to ignore. It sounded more and more like a vehement protest. This could hardly be a ghost. It had to be a desperately angry tomcat. But where could it be? Mother, there's a cat under my bed, announced daughter number 1. Please, may we just peep under the bed? Piped up daughter number 2. Please, please, let's take a look, it's crying, came a joint appeal. It must be caught somewhere, let's free it. Obviously, fairy tales interested them no more. Far more exciting things were happening in their lives at that moment. In a minute, they were up and out of bed, prancing around, opening and shutting drawers and wardrobes, slamming doors and windows, pulling chairs and screaming, in here, over there, by the window, outside the window. The cat remained invisible, but my 2 daughters were fully and vigorously visible, as well as audible. Not unexpectedly, my dear mother appeared on the scene in a wheelchair. An icy voice demanded, "What exactly is going on here?" "A cat, Grandma, a lost cat. It's crying for its mommy." "Where is it?" "Outside the window, in the ventilator, under the mattress, in the refrigerator." Excited suggestions kept pouring in. The cook and the maid had joined the crew. Our friendly, non-violent dog, the first in the family to go to bed, was up too and had joined the fun, madly rushing around, getting under everyone's feet, whining and barking alternately. The room bustled with activity.
It goes on, and finally the cat is rescued, in case you wanted to know what happened to the cat. So it is rescued. What should we do next? Should we... Okay. Poetry next or... No. Okay. Okay. No, poetry now or... Well, let's see how much time we have. Because I don't want to bring in other things now. Okay, so, yeah, Samhita. Samhita will talk a bit and read out from, I think, one of Nabaneeta's essays, because Nabaneeta also worked on the epics. She was a scholar of the epics, and later on, yes, yeah, she was a scholar of the epics, and her throughout, I mean, at Harvard, she worked on the structure of the Ramayana. Then later on, she worked on the content of the Ramayana, and till later, she moved on to the women's and the other retellings of the Ramayana. So basically, and her the Radhakrishnan Memorial Lectures that she gave in Oxford on this are coming out in January, and in March, I think. And anyway, next year, all her translations of the Chandrabhoti Ramayana will also be out, and many other things will be out. But here, Samhita herself, who has been working on the Ramayana and the Sita, she will talk a bit and read out maybe.
Thank you. A couple of years ago when I met Nabaneeta at this very festival, it was like meeting a giant who I'd only dreamt about. Her work, this essay that I came across when I was at a very foundational age myself, when women retell the Ramayana, I think it's shaped my own thinking about the epics, my own writing, and my own, even today, the kind of direction that I take with my work. So for me, in many ways, she's sort of an intellectual grandparent of my own work. And I just like to read this part to you, because for me, in so many ways, it just encapsulates how I have been influenced by her work and how I'm trying to take that in and how that has incorporated itself into my own journey. Epic poets the world over are men singing the glory of other men, armed men to be precise. In a study I did a couple of years ago, I noticed that out of the 38 basic things upon which most epic narratives of the world are based, only 9 are associated with women. The ideals of the epic world obviously do not have much to share with women, nor do the women enjoy the heroic values. There is little they can do there other than get abducted or rescued or pawned or molested or humiliated in some way or other. So what happens when women choose to retell an epic? There are many alternatives. And she goes on to talk about the oral traditions of the Ramayana in this essay, as well as the Chandrabati and the Mola Ramayana. And what's really, for me, was a sort of a paradigm shift, was this opposition between oral literature and textual literature, between the ways that we look at the Ramayana, and that is so important right now, in the moment that we're living. This is an essay that I feel that is as important as the 300 Ramayanas, and that should be read by everyone. And when I told her this, when I had the opportunity to meet her, and I gifted her a copy of my book, and I said that this is, you are the sort of grandparent of this text. She was the most. She was a very. She said, "Why haven't you given this to me before?" And that struck me that I had put her on such a pedestal that I could not kind of cross that boundary. So I was very grateful later on at the same festival when we ended up at the airport and we spent about 4 hours together. And I was able to plumb her mind for all of this information, and I'm so grateful now that I had that opportunity. I'd like to finish with another bit that she's written from this essay, and it's a translation of a poem from Marathi that she quotes in this particular essay. Where can I find a queen like Sita now? Who can sprinkle the floor with water as well as she can? Who will give me my dhotis, and who will serve me good meals as Sita can? Sita is in exile. Who will make a fine royal bed for me now and make the sandal pace? Brother Lakshman, let us shut down the pleasure palace. And I feel that way now.
We're going to do 2 excerpts from a play that was translated by the Little Magazine. It's conversations between a man and a woman who are described only as in terms of their gender, M and F, and their ages, which differ by 5 years. There are 2 scenes that we'll do, though the scenes go on over decades. Yeah? So let's go.
So it starts when they're 25 and 20 and ends when they're like 60 or something.
65 and 60.
So I think we're doing the first and the last.
First and the last.
And not
Male
the
25, female 20. Tell me. Come on, darling. Tell me. Please, please, pretty please.
No, such things can't be told.
Of course they can. They can be told to me.
No, it's dreadfully private.
Never mind. How dreadful, however private, you can tell me, okay? Come on now, tell me.
Okay. I'll tell you, but you can't tell anyone.
No. Shan't tell anybody, not a soul.
Sure you won't? Absolutely. Not a soul. Sure?
Not a soul, sure. Cross my heart.
You give me your word?
I give you my word.
Promise?
Promise.
Swear by me.
Here I swear.
Hey, go away, you. Who asked you to do that?
Why? You did.
Did I say that?
You didn't. Is it specified which part of the body the swearer needs to touch?
Get along. I don't know what to do with you. You're so bad, saying whatever you want.
Certainly not. I never say what I want. I hide what I really want to say and spout all sorts of nonsense. Shall I tell you what I really want? Shall I?
No, mister, you shall not forget it. Okay, hear this.
The word is dear.
No, I said hear.
Here. But there isn't such a word. It doesn't exist. The word is dear. Come on, say it.
Okay, dear. Happy now?
No, once more.
Dear.
Once more.
Dear, dear, dear.
Yes, dear. What do you have to say, dear? My dearest, my darling. See how I touch and swear by you. Promise to do so every time you ask me to.
Hey, get your hands off me. Let me go make your tea. Always up to mischief. What a nuisance you are.
Forget the tea. Don't go away, please.
Oof, don't bother me now. Don't you have anything to do?
Wait, listen. Don't go away. Listen to this. I have something to tell you. It's really important.
So this is the first, and then in between there are the ones that we are skipping. They deal with when the man has absolutely no time for the woman, and the woman craves attention, but the man is just so completely busy with his work that he has absolutely no time for the woman. We are skipping all of that, and we are on to the last part.
Listen,
Tell me, I'm listening.
there's something I need to talk to you about.
Go on, I'm listening.
Not like this. Let's go into that room.
How can I go now? I have all this on my hands.
When will your hands be free?
In a moment, I'll be right there.
That's just talk. You've been saying this for ages.
Oh, what a clinging creature you've become in your old age. I'll be right there. Can't you wait a minute?
You keep saying that, but you never come.
Okay, what do you have to say? Tell me.
You've come out.
Here I am.
Sit down here beside me.
Okay.
Give me your hand.
Hand? It's got red hot chili paste all over. I've been grinding chilies.
Give me the other hand then.
That has chili paste on it too.
Did you spread chili paste all over your hands on purpose before coming to me?
Does anyone spread chili paste on their hands on purpose?
Who knows? You could do even that.
Don't be absurd. Why did you call me? Tell me quickly. I have this stinging stuff on my hands.
What stinking stuff? Now you think I'm a stinking burden on you.
Oof, not stinking, stinging. As in sting, burn, goodness. Now you've done away with your hearing as well, have you? Your eyes are on their way out, I know. Stinging stuff, that is chili paste on my hands. Understood?
Chilies? Not me. Not stinking, stinging. Chili paste makes your hands sting. Okay. That's all right then. I thought...
You've done enough thinking for now. Tell me what you wanted to say.
Show me where your hands hurt. Let's see.
What a pain. What's all this coyness in your old age?
Tell me, when did we go to Kashmir?
The year after we got married, in 1929.
So long ago.
Is this the important matter you need to discuss immediately?
Well, not just this. I was thinking...
You think too much. I'll go wash my hands and get your buttermilk.
Forget the buttermilk. Look at that. How cloudy the sky is today. Like a range of mountains, aren't they?
You take contemplating your navel to such majestic heights. Ever since you retired, you've been brimming with nonsensical thoughts. Don't you have anything to do?
Wait, don't go away. Listen to this, please. Listen. I have something to tell you. It's really very important.
So this is how it ends. Actually, every little section here ends with this. Wait. There's something really important I want to tell you. It's usually the woman who's saying it and the man doesn't have time, but in the end, it's the other way around. Thanks, Jerry. Thanks.
Yeah, Nabaneeta wrote this travelogue, again, many years ago.
You have to read a couple of poems also.
Yes, I'll just read a very short passage from this. We'll alternate between prose and poetry. It's a travelogue. She didn't plan it. She planned the trip. She finished a conference and then decided to take a trip to Tawang. And the only mode of transport was a truck. And against everybody's advice, she jumped on this truck and went along with the driver, ration truck. So I'll read a very short passage because it's a kind of a self-description here. That's the other thing about her. She was completely honest. I was telling Antara this morning, it wasn't Nabaneeta the writer and Nabaneeta the person. We're not two different people. Many times you meet a writer who's You're taken by surprise because that's not the writer you see or imagine in his or her books. But Nabaneeta was an integrated sort of person that way. A very short passage from she's sort of introspecting at this time, this passage. By the way, this was translated by Arunava Sinha, whom you may have heard here. Yes. There's too much trouble involved in being in love. Hope and disappointment, meetings and separations, hurt and despair in no small measure. And besides, lovers are terribly possessive creatures, just like policemen. They'll imprison you in love, and freedom is forbidden. That's why I always discourage love indirectly. Encouraging love means going into custody. Of course, what if I could encourage a one-way version and then vanish blithely with a smiling face like the Kalakuts of the world? That would be a different story altogether. But I'm not clever enough for that. Eventually, I'll get entangled and fall head over heels in love. You never know. I might even get married, settle down in the kitchen, and start running a household. That's why I fall in love in a winner-takes-all way at a superhuman level. Sometimes with the Ganga, sometimes with the Himalaya, with the Brahmaputra, or with Tibet. Just consider the 100% opportunities I get to fall in love. No relatives or family elders nearby, no friends to keep an eye on me, not even inquisitive neighbors. I travel to places where isolation follows me around like a shadow, where solitude is available readily, where there is no hurt or anguish, where I have to bear no responsibilities. I may not look it, but I am a bit of an old-fashioned romantic. It would be impossible not to be. So are Sanskrit teachers with shaven heads and the traditional tuft of hair, grumpy maths teachers too.
Maybe I'll just read a couple of poems before we end. This is such a pain. Trying to find anything. All right, this is called this is called the Yellow River. Great Wall of China rises within. These are poems translated from the Bengali. The Great Wall of China rises within, blocking all, the stars, the woods, the rice fields. The Great Wall of China rises inside, blocking all. Yet the Yellow River sweeps away village after village. Green Salad for My Husband was one of the few poems she wrote in English when we were in England. She wrote this after reading Germaine Greer's The Female Eunuch. I have a shock of green ideas upon my head, ever so green, ever so raw, unwashed, garden fresh, with pesticides seeping through. A fine salad for my gourmet husband. Last poem, you think? Okay. I can't find him. Sorry, I'm just trying to find the poems. Okay. Whoops. Okay, last short poem. It's called I Give to Beza Life. I have no need for earth or water, just fire, air, and space. Wipe out the breasts, the wrist, the luring eyes. Wipe out tears and laughter. Take back your earth and water. I'll keep my skies. Thank you all for being here, and thank you especially Minnie and Jerry and Mridula and Sam. Somebody told me today, I mean, tomorrow is going to be a month since my mother passed, but somebody said that she's going to be with us forever. So I don't know whether that's true, but it's very nice being here today celebrating her life a little bit. Thanks. Bye.